Welcome everybody in the back pocket. It's prelim final weekend, and what a fantastic weekend it is. We're all healthy. No one on the panel has had any adverse physical medical reactions.
What's happened, Woogie?
Unfortunately, I've just gotten a one-on-one battle with the wrong medication, and here we are. I'm not actually sure who's on the panel right now, but I can't see, so we're going to go audio at the moment. Kate, give us your best bet.
That's great. How good are you going, eh?
Oh,
it's not funny. It's not when somebody's got an affliction like you have. It's not funny, is it?
It's tough. Well, you know what? Now I know what it's like a day in the life to live like somebody looks like you. So Nathan, your best bet.
I think total points under this weekend. So Collingwood and Brisbane, I think they're both very defensive-minded sides. Brisbane attack a little bit more than Collingwood, but Collingwood 71% of the time this year they've started the game. The total points under has gone. So Collingwood, Brisbane under for me.
I'm going Josh Dacos, 27 plus. His games at the MCG this year, he's averaged over that. His last two against Brisbane in particular, he's had 30 and 29. I like him for 27 plus and a pretty nice price too at $2.37. That's my best for the round.
Yeah, so I'm looking at the Collingwood and Brisbane game as well. You know this is going to be a low-scoring game. It generally is with Collingwood. It's going to be tight as well. So the bet I'm eyeballing is Collingwood 1 to 39. I think it'll stay within that margin either way.
It's lucky you're not a horse. You wouldn't survive the day.
Well, legally I wouldn't be allowed in the studio if I was a horse. Now I'm going, it is not my vision that's messing with me here. Steel side bottom 2+ goals, 3 last week. I reckon he's going to have a ripper. The veterans step up in games like this, and I'm so far behind that I'm going to need some wins. Let's have a look how we did last week. It wasn't too pretty.
Yeah, I took Hugh McCluggage last week, 27 plus. It was easily the best bet of the weekend.
Yeah, I had Zach Bailey, 25 plus, spent a fair bit of time forward, kicked 3 goals, but had him for disposals, which doesn't help.
Here's the reason that I need to go with an $11.41 because I am only $100 down the bottom, and Zach, I'm surprised that you haven't gone even further with yours.
Yeah, well, it was unlucky last week. Jamming MP 25 only let me down by 14 disposals. He finished the game with 11 in that one. So even for me, it was a shocker.
All right, let's jump into the report card, Brownie. Big game.
It is a big game. It's a great game. And Friday night football, the B. It is a B for me, puntability, because there's so many players at Geelong you can punt on. Hawthorn, as we've said all year, really even team across the board, so nobody jumps out. Jai Newcomb's the one, but I feel like he'll probably get tagged. So the puntability, most of that comes through Geelong players.
It's an A+ for me. And CMB cold spot. Do we know what that is? It's not cold sore. It's cold spot. Do we know what that is?
Is it an illness?
It's a galactical anomaly. So it is one thing that sticks out is it a cold spot in the universe, and I don't know why it's there, but it's anomaly. You know what else is an anomaly?
Your eyes.
If Geelong don't win the premiership, according to the data that you have spewed over the last 3 weeks.
I never know where you're actually going with anything here. But
Neither do I.
No. I've got full faith in what Geelong are doing, and they should be confident with what they've done across the whole season. That they should stand up this weekend.
Most people have had Geelong and Brisbane as their premiership favourites or winning the premiership. So let's have a look at the last 10 games both these sides have played. So when they've been leading at half-time, they've gone on 100% of the time the last 10 games to win the game. So if you're going to take Geelong and Brisbane both to be winning at half-time, full-time double, $5.04 this weekend.
Ooh,
so there's a little bit of value there.
I like it. Hoyney, you're big on the Cats, but what's the one metric right now that you reckon will be big?
Yeah, so we're going with the race to 80. So, we always go back and have a look at history, and excluding 2020, so in champion data's time, so footy didn't exist pre-champion data, that all prelim final winners, so there's been 50 of them, in champion data's time, 44 of them have scored 80 plus points. So only 6 occasions has a prelim final winner scored under 80. And if you're thinking about, well, what does that mean for the 4 teams here? Against the best this year, Geelong and Brisbane, no issues getting to 80 against the best. Collingwood and Hawthorn have had their issues getting to 80 against the best, more so Collingwood than Hawthorn. The interesting part with Hawthorn is if they haven't got to 100 against the best this year, they've only won once out of their 9 games where they haven't got to 100.
So they have to go big.
Geelong have only conceded 100 once in the last 4 months. So it's the race to 80 is the historical piece. Can you actually get to that mark or not? No problems. You wouldn't have thought, as I said, with Geelong and Brisbane just based off what they've done across the season. But Hawthorn and Collingwood, just a slight watch.
So there's a theory around finals that there are less disposals on offer, but it hasn't been the case for Hawthorn in the first two finals. So their first two finals, 371 and 365, but they have averaged 368 so far this year. So when it comes to disposals, Hawthorn have been one side, along with Brisbane, who have been able to get more disposals than what they have on average this season.
Where do we sit with John Newcombe? I believe it's 4 finals games, 4 highest rated player on the field. He's absolutely dominating. Is there an edge here, or is he going to be a little bit overrated from a market perspective?
Well, his disposals have been like 35, 32, 28 and 32 in his 4 finals. But our traders have him disposal line at 22.5. So that's 10 below his average in finals. So that says to me the traders 100% think that he is going to be tagged by Oisin Mullen. And it's at that point now, 22.5, where you start to think, do I go the overs? Because I was expecting to be around somewhere like 25, 26, where you could comfortably take the unders, because Oisin Mullen, very good tagger. But at 22.5, you start to think, do I take the overs? He's probably never been tagged as a midfielder before in the AFL. Might have been tagged as a young player, but in the midfield in the AFL would never have been tagged. So I can't wait to see how he handles it, but I'm probably going to stay out of it.
It's looking pretty good for the Gary Ayres Award as well, with the performances that we've seen from the first sort of 2 finals that he's played. He's got this weekend, obviously one that we were looking at. Now, he's $3, so very short for that. If they were to go out this weekend, that obviously opens the door for the rest of the field. But the player I'm looking at in replacement of Jai Newcombe is actually Josh Ward. So this season he's averaged 21 disposals. Last week against the Crows, he had a career-high 31. So I feel like, yes, Oisin Mullen has to go to Jai Newcombe in my opinion. I think you've got to stop what you know could hurt you in finals. And I think he picks up a few extra disposals on the back of that. If you go for 22 plus, which is just over $2 currently, that's a good bet considering his season average is 21 and I expect him to pick up a few extra disposals there. So Josh Ward would be one I'd be looking at in this game.
Oh, love it. It's getting me excited for the prelim. I'll tell you, I can't work out where the camera is, but it's time for Big Reggie's Multi of Wonder.
Big Reggie's wonderful multi of wonder. All right, stick with me. We're nearly at the end. You won't have to sit through many more of these. But my first one I'm looking at is Bailey Smith. So he will find a stack of the footy. He likes the big stage, and Geelong love to give him the footy. He can have a pretty quiet day and still get to that mid-20s. So Bailey Smith for 25. Jai Newcombe, we just spoke about. He's built for finals. I've got him around that 23 disposal line, which is on his under-over line, but I do think he gets there. Carl Amon, he's been the most reliable accumulator Hawthorn have had this season, 22 disposals for Carl. And then Brian Myers, I think he was very unlucky not to at least be in the All-Australian squad off the back of what he's done this year. I've got him for 18 disposals.
I like the look of it.
Reggie's got a never-ending bank account there.
You've been singing the praises of Max Holmes all year.
Yeah, so a lot of credit is going to what Jai Newcombe has done in his final series at the moment, but Max Holmes and what he has done in his last 4 finals is almost identical to Newcombe. Number 1 rated player on the ground there in 3 of his 4 games. Just with that 22 prelim and the 2024 prelim, that's number 1 before he went off injured in the 3rd quarter in both games. He is a phenomenal finals player. MCG, space, suits him down to the ground. And unlike Newcombe, Hawthorn don't have anyone to go to him. So if he is number 1 or number 2 again, well, they're playing grand final day in 7 days' time, 8 days' time. So ironically, in round 6, that was his lowest rated game for the season against Hawthorn. He had a bit of a flat patch for about 3 or 4 weeks there. He hasn't got a flat patch at the moment. And if he keeps going, as I said, like he has, then this game is pretty much done and dusted.
Don't mind. It's still a chance for the Gary Ayres as well. Good value there at $15. Brownie, best bet.
You're starting to weep a little bit. It's dripping.
I'm starting to
really
leak
concerning
for everybody and AFL intellect.
Are they going to let you on the plane?
Probably not.
So Bailey Smith, I think he gets 29 plus disposals. Don't care how he gets them, don't care if he butchers them, because he can butcher a football. But I just think he runs and he carries it. Hawthorn won't tag him. He should get disposals.
Yeah, Ollie Dempsey at the MCG. 11 of his last 11 he's kicked an anytime goal, so you might want to look at that market as well. But I have him for 2 plus. 5 of his last 6 games at the G, he's kicked 2 plus as well. I like him in this one.
Yeah, he's going to have a good game because I've got him for 19 disposals. Loves the MCG, the wide expanse. He's a freakish athlete. His ability to run suits the MCG, so him for 19.
The amount of multis that I have lost over the years with a player getting on 19, it is beautiful that you can finally bet for them to get that number and then they're going to wind up on 18. But I'm going to take Jeremy Cameron for 4 goals here. I love when the superstars stand up in the big moments, and I think Jeremy Cameron is going to slot not 1, not 2,
and a
not 3, but 4. Stay away from wasps. Enjoy the game. Here we go. Let's jump right into the report card for this one. Brownie, take us away.
Report card is an A. This is an A game when you've got A players. Collingwood up against Brisbane. There are so many players, so many disposals on offer. Not too many tags. There might be a run with roll or an arm across somewhere, but I just feel like this is going to be open.
Yep, it's an A for me, and my little... What do you call it?
Slogan?
Tagline, slogan, that's one. Yeah, my eyes will get vision on it eventually. Is Vic's do it better. Brisbane, love you. Love you, Brisbane. Sorry, Kate. You got the fantastic river that goes through the middle. It's beautiful. The brown snake, I think they call it.
I do.
But we want an all-Victorian grand final. I want to be looking like this on Sunday morning after an all-Victorian grand final because the city is set
in your eyes.
Well, I've had an absolute eyeful of that chat. There is absolutely no way that Vic's do it better in this one. I'm looking at the head-to-head and $2.15. I feel like these two teams are pretty similarly placed. We have this look when it comes to prelim finals. It was what we saw the week before. When the team loses that first round, you sort of forget how good they can be. And I feel like Brisbane coming through the long way, people have forgotten how good the football is that they can play. I'm on Brisbane in this one. I think it's going to be an extremely close game, but I just feel like in their forward half, they have more weapons than the Magpies do.
Brownie, there's a bet you're very keen on here.
You got an attacking side and a defensive side. So Collingwood are going to try and stop Brisbane. They're going to try and stop their ball flow. But this season, the total points game pre-line, Collingwood 71% of the time this year have gone under. And what might surprise you is we set the line high for Brisbane, so they've been under 60% of the time. So 71%, 60%. If Collingwood can hold Brisbane, I just think the total points with maybe a little bit of rain around, start at 165, already into 162. I'm going to go the unders. I've backed it earlier on in the week at that 165.
And 60% of the time it works every time.
That's it.
Yeah.
I've been talked into Brisbane. I've been talked into the unders. Zach, your time to talk me into something.
Big Reggie's wonderful multi of wonder. Wasn't sure if the sting was going to play then. Was that just me? Okay, cool. Will Ashcroft, I think no Lachie Neale. He's a bona fide star. We've seen him do it on the big stage before. There's a few more disposals up for offer with no Lachie Neale. Got him for 25. McCluggage, Brisbane's best player this year, categorically superstar, A-grade player right now. He steps up again. Dane Zorko, he just finds the footy. He takes kick-ins, which we love, and I think they'll look for him as much as possible. At the MCG, there's a lot more room to attack, and nobody does it better than him. And then Josh Dacos, 24 disposals. It's a modest tally for Josh and what we've seen this year, so that's just a beat.
I think that's as good as you've got this year. I love that. You're in the sweet spot there, just those low 20s. I really like it.
It's my initiative, that sweet spot. It's a really good way.
It's
Oh, here we go. For everyone at home wondering, Brownie was trying to think a joke about my eyes and he couldn't quite get to it. But Hugh McCluggage, Zach's keen. Were you going overs, unders?
I thought last week this was the easiest money to make. So you've got to play the narratives. The narratives was he was tagged the week before and he's going to bounce back. The other narrative was Gold Coast don't tag. They were going to allow him to run his own race, which he did. He had 33 disposals. And I just thought it was the easiest bet. It just screamed out, bet me, last week. And Hugh McCluggage honoured that by 33, and I think go to the well again, because Collingwood, as good as they are, they're not going to send anyone to him. It's not going to be a Ned Long, it's not going to be a Josh Dacos doing a job, it's Jordan De Goey. He's going to run around pretty much one-on-one against an opponent who's trying to do the same thing as him, so high 20s for Hugh McCluggage again.
Love it. Going back to the well, Jamie Elliott.
Yeah, I think Jamie Elliott is absolutely the key to whether or not Collingwood can get into a grand final or not. So defensively, from start to finish this year, their defensive profile has not wavered. Even when they lost 5 of their 6 games, they had the 3rd best defensive profile in the game. But offensively, it has fluctuated, and it has fluctuated off the back of one individual. So after round 17, Collingwood's forward 50 was the 2nd best forward 50 in the competition. Jamie Elliott was rated inside the top 15 players in the comp. The next 7 weeks, he's rated outside the top 300 players in the comp. Their forward 50, the 3rd worst in the competition. Then against Adelaide, their forward 50 functions as well as it had for 6 or 7 weeks. What happened? Jamie Elliott was the 3rd best player on the ground. You can take it to the bank that Brandon Starcevich will go straight to him like he did in round 21, which was actually one of Jamie Elliott's lowest rated games for the season. And if Starcevich can do that job again, the individuals inside forward 50 outside of Jamie Elliott aren't functioning well enough for Collingwood to potentially get to that 80-point mark, which history suggests is what you need to get to win a prelim. If he can, they're every chance. If he can't, I think Brisbane are going to be their grand final day.
I think
You've
that
done
Bobby.
media training before. You do that so well. How good is that?
If you'd done some media training, you might have let Kate speak.
Sorry.
I think the Bobby Hill element to this comes into play as well. We know the first few rounds those first 13 rounds, I think you said how well Jamie Elliott was playing in that time. I think the loss of Bobby Hill has affected Jamie Elliott in the sense that what role do I play? How do I make sure I still impact? And he's finally worked out what he needs to do, or the other small forwards around him have worked out how we structure up without Bobby Hill. So I think there's going to be so much talk this week around whether they should have selected him or shouldn't have. I think they've made 100% the right call, because you can't look back on games. I think the only way you look back on this and regret it is if you select him and he doesn't perform. You can't say what he could or couldn't have done, and I think that plays into Jamie Elliott as well, because he knows what his football looks like without Bobby Hill now and how he can get the most out of himself.
And just on Jamie Elliott, so I played on him. It was a matchup I got quite a lot in my career. In early parts, I used to play him deep a lot. When he was at his best earlier this season, I saw him one out in the goal square, and I'm just wondering if you're Collingwood, just go all in on him. Because if you're good enough to cop a bit of a tag or a defensive job like he is going to get from Starcevic won't leave his side. Let him play it deep. See if you can create some space, because it's a seriously uncomfortable position to be in because of his athletic profile. You need to play someone small and agile, because he's small and agile, but he's so good in the air as well. I'd give him as much room as I could.
What's a pass mark for Elliott then? If he does play close to the goal for both of you, is it 2+? Is it 3+?
I think it's 3+. I just think with Myercheck being under an injury cloud, Mason Cox, the Harris Andrews matchup, and then outside of that, who else is there in that forward 50 that is a threat to kick 3+? I think it has to be him.
Jamie Elliott, very popular as well in the Collingwood most votes without Nick Dacos market as well. We're going to talk Brownlow, of course, in another show. But Jaspa Fletcher.
Yeah, so there's two reasons why Brisbane are where they are right now. One, it's the back of what they do defensively and their pressure game. When their pressure is above AFL average, they've only lost 2 games for the year. One, they should have won by 4 or 5 goals against Adelaide early on in the season. And the other one was in the qualifying final, which again shows how well Geelong are actually going at the moment to hold up against it. The second component is that blistering ball movement off the half-back line, which is what we saw against Gold Coast on the weekend. 41 points out of their D50 against Gold Coast, season high. Everyone talks about Dane Zorko and his importance, and I think that's pretty obvious. We know that. But Jaspa Fletcher would have to be up there in the conversation as the most consistent performer in the competition. And his impact with what he does ball in hand. He's a top 50 rated player in the comp. And that profile there over the last 6 weeks, you can almost just cut and paste that profile for his entire season this year. He hardly does anything wrong. And think about in that qualifying final, that goal from outside 50 in the first quarter, huge goal. That kick back into corridor, straight up to Darcy Fort, handball to Jared Berry in the second quarter. He pulls that off because he has the licence and the skill set to do it. Yes, Zorko will get the footy, but just expect this guy to do exactly what he has done all season and be another weapon for Brisbane behind the footy.
He's been a real punter's friend this year, hasn't he? Around that 20 to 23 mark. And he's always been a good price to do it as well. They keep giving you a good price. He keeps knocking it down.
Kate, when the kids go to the barbershop, do you reckon they ask for the Kai Loman or the Daniel Hoyne?
I'd definitely ask for the Daniel Hoyne.
Yeah, I'm thinking this has more cultural significance.
Think about getting those lines through my head too later on as well.
That'll look good.
Browny's best bet.
Total points under, I think it's going to be a low score, not a low scoring game, it's 162, so it's around average for these two sides, but I just think with all the data available, I think it's going to go under.
Yeah, I'm going Josh Dacos, 27 plus. He has a great record at the G this year, averaging over 27, and his last 2 games against the Lions, he's had 30 and 29. I think he clears that again.
Ooh.
Dane Zorko, 25. They need to get it in his hands if they want to beat the Pies. He is an elite ball user. He does have a tendency to find the footy and take kick-ins, so I've got him for 25.
Steel side bottom. I'm sticking with it with both bets. I reckon the superstars, the veterans, they're the ones that step up in these moments. So steel side bottom anytime. I've also got in my best bet across the weekend as 2+ in this game. Brownie, your favourite grand final matchup quickly? Which 2 teams?
I think Collingwood and Geelong would be my favourite matchup.
Just need the one?
Brisbane, yeah?
Yeah, well, I said Geelong-Brisbane from the round 1 of finals. I said whoever loses that will still make the grand final, so I'm going to stick with that.
Hoyney?
With Kate.
Geelong Collingwood.
Fantastic. I'll tell you what, tomorrow morning as well, we're going to be back with the Brownlow, everything. Brownie's Brownlow tracker. Hopefully, we'll find the winner. Stay away from wasps. We've got our eyes on one thing and one thing only. It is the Brownlow. The greatest betting event outside of the US election is about to take place. Brownie, you're the man with the tracker, and yours is the only one that takes into account in the algorithm the way players look, the sort of maybe if they're wearing fluoro boots, all this sort of stuff that we think in the umpire's eyes definitely has an
And it was
impact.
hard to get that in the algorithm.
Yeah.
It was hard for the computer to understand that.
What about if I rolled around like this, looking like I've been stung like a bee?
They would say you're not allowed to play today. There's no way you were playing out there.
I'd get $3.
Whatever you've been doing is not good.
God forbid a man try to get a bit adventurous.
Yes, OK. Let's have a look at the Brownlow tracker because I've got Nick Dacos winning it, but not by much. So he does taper off in the late part of the year, Nick Dacos, along with Collingwood. The surprise in mine that nobody else has is Nazaya Wanganeen-Millerer. Maybe I've voted on him nicely in the first part of the season with 1s and 2s, but he comes home really hard. Anderson, Dawson, Bailey Smith. The one player I've been hard on, which I was talking to you guys, is Matt Rowell, because I've given the votes to Anderson, whereas I thought that Rowell's had games where people are giving him votes and he's had 22, 23 disposals. I believe the umpires look at the stats, and I believe they do it off that. So I may be wrong, but I've been very hard on Matt Rowell, and his vote line is 26.5. I'm going to go under that.
I like that you've given Nazara a whole lot of votes just after he came front and centre with the contract talks and all of that, so I like that. Now, yours doesn't take pink hair into account, but it does take all the champion data statistics and blends them up. It's one of the ones that people love to look to.
It certainly doesn't take that into account, Felix. But yeah, so ours takes back, having a look at history and what actually stacks up with previous Brownlow medalists, and that's polling history of the individuals. Things like disposals, contested possessions, clearances, playing in a winning team, all that sort of stuff it takes into account. So with that in mind, probably no surprise, but we've got Nick Dacos leading ours pretty comfortably. Not too far away from you, Brownie, with 34 votes.
You got on two more.
I think you had him on 32 votes. So as you mentioned before there with Matty Rowell, so ours with the contest and clearance stuff, sort of been so important to previous Brownlow medalists. That's why Matty Rowell is there second with 26 votes. No surprise to see Jordan Dawson. Tom Green might be a bit of a surprise, and we'll get into why shortly. And then Noah Anderson rounds out our top 5. I've said a lot throughout the year, I'll back history until history changes. And that is more so from a team perspective and what stacks up there. But I'm going to dive into it now from an individual sense. We've never really done that before. Ooh. The last 17 Brownlow medalists, we spoke about this about 2 months ago. All 17 Brownlow medalists have been top 6 for contested possessions. They, right there, are your top 6 Brownlow medalists there. So Dacos isn't there, Dawson's not there, Anderson's not there. The interesting one for us is someone like a Tom Green and a Caleb Sarong. They've both played in winning teams. Caleb Sarong's importance in the wins this season, which was spoken about at length, has been obvious. When he plays well, they win. So I think it's going to be interesting to see if history actually does stack up with the contested possession winners. The game is changing. The importance of ball use and being able to get on the outside like Dacos, Smith, Dawson, Wanganeen-Millerer do is critical. Do the umpires actually come along with that? Or do they revert back to history and history doesn't change, and potentially someone like an outsider such as a Tom Green or a Caleb Sarong can jump in off the back of that and have some success on Monday night?
Would you be genuinely surprised if the gap between the top vote poller, so Nick Dacos, and the next best was 34 to 26? Do you see it going a lot closer?
I think it's going to
be
closer.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be closer. I wouldn't be surprised if Tom Green won it, though, presenting those facts. I don't have him finishing in the top 6 or 7, I don't think, but I wouldn't be surprised at all. It'd be almost like not a Matty Pritis, but it's someone not like that people aren't going, this guy's going to win it.
With Tom Green, I've got him for a top 5 finish for all the reasons you spoke about. He does all his work at the coalface right in front of the umpires, and I'm not sure if they actually get to see the stats, but a lot of what he does, it's unavoidable if you were an umpire and every stoppage seeing Tom Green go to work. And history says he is the type of player that gets votes. He is that big contested brute, Patrick Cripps style that is just in your face. So I've got him as a top 5 finish, could even finish higher.
My best bet in the Brownlow medal is Nazaya Wanganeen-Millerer over. So he's 21.5 votes at the moment, and I've got him in for 28. So I'm comfortably going over on Nazaya. And the good thing about these ones is you can multi them, so you can multi them into other players. So been speaking a lot about Matty Rowell. I've got him going under. I've got Jeremy Cameron over 15.5. That's 5 best ons. He's had a fantastic season. So over Wanganeen Miller, Jeremy Cameron over, Matty Rowell under.
It's all good and well to have your Brownlow picks after the season's done. But only one of us has got one of the top chances who they said pre-season and a little bit into the season got the real value on, and that was you.
Yeah, so I've gone with Noah Anderson, and that was sort of, I think, midway through the season. He narrowed in 1 week. I remember we were sitting here talking about the market movers, and he was 34 into 26, and I thought probably now is the time to get on if you're thinking Noah Anderson is a chance because of the football they were playing at the Gold Coast Suns, because of the football he was playing individually. So he's now $7 to win. I don't think he does get the job done. I think Nick Dacos probably does. But I think the way that they finished the season didn't help Noah Anderson's cause with how poor their sort of drop-off was in the last few rounds. But I personally think he polls better than Matt Rowell for the way that he got forward this year. He hit the scoreboard a lot more than he has previously. He got a few really eye-catching clearances in really big games as well, which I think went a long way towards Gold Coast winning a few of those. So I think he polls a lot of 3 votes. Hopefully he's a chance for that bet slip that we just saw, but I think Dacos probably gets the job done in the end.
It's making me emotional, as you can see, even thinking that finally the little master Nick Dacos is going to get the Brownlow that he so richly deserves. Let's have a look at what's been popular with the sports bet punters, though. One of the interesting ones for me is right down the bottom there, to result in a 4-way tie for first. Now, whether it's right or wrong, the punters have been keen on this one at $101, but what do we think of those overall?
The Dacos brothers will poll a lot. Josh, particularly in the second half of the year, was fantastic. I think he votes against Gold Coast in that game where he went into the midfield up there. Bailey Smith, the lead out right after round 6, absolutely. Not sure about 10 and 15. I think maybe 10. But there could be a tie this year. I don't think it'll be a 4-way tie, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's a tie.
Yeah, it's certainly going to be tight at the top. I do like that Bailey Smith one. I think he started the season so well and there was so much conversation around him. I think it's likely he gets a lot of votes early, so I wouldn't mind dipping my toe into that one.
Well, with the teams as well, punters are getting involved. I mentioned on the other program, Collingwood most votes without Nick Dacos. Jamie Elliott still at very good value at $3 there.
Yeah, that is good value. The one that surprises me on that page is the Dylan Moore Hawthorn most votes. I think that's a little bit of recency bias. I don't know how you sit with that, Brownie, but there was a period of time through that middle part of the season where he was playing not poorly, but absolutely not reaching the heights of his probably last year's campaign. I think probably Jai Newcomb or the likes of even Ginnivan getting up to stoppage. You disagree, Hoyney?
I reckon that'd be the hardest team to work out who is actually their leader. You've spoken about it a lot this year, Brownie, that they're just so even. I wouldn't have a clue who's actually going to be their leader. I'd be pretty confident elsewhere, but Hawthorn wouldn't
Maybe
know.
Jack Gunston.
Give me your best, I guess. We've worked out who's going to win according to you guys. What's your best outsider?
Best outsider is Nazai Wanganeen Miller.
Yeah, I'm with Brownie on that, the way he comes home. Very good value as we looked at throughout the season. He could be anywhere come the final votes. He could poll well under what we're thinking or well over. So I'm really excited to watch the count for him. His early games are going to be the most important to him, obviously, because his last 5-10 rounds were really, really good football.
I think Caleb's wrong. I think with Fremantle winning close to 16 games or whatever it was, and his impact in and around contest and clearance, his season was superb. I wouldn't underestimate what he could do on Monday night.
Yeah, well, I've got Tom Green finishing in the top 5. I almost think that's a conservative enough outlook on his season, and it wouldn't surprise me if he polls even a little bit better than we expect. So I think Dacos will get it done. It's very hard to look past him at the minute, but if you want an outsider, I think potentially Tom Green.
What about that's the Brownlow? Now the AFLW's flying at the moment. I'm a Swans fan. We are chips in on Zippy Fish. Where are you playing?
As you should be. Just a reminder to those that we have the AFLW markets. Here's a nice little multi from last week that we got up. You can find some really nice prices on some of the AFLW players. So Neve McLaughlin, 25 plus, Dana Finn, 25 plus, and Sophie McKay, anytime goal scorer. That was paying $19. So watch the Match Centre previews. We find you some really nice winners in those. And don't forget that the AFLW markets are up and live now. And if you want to get them, you can follow you on the feed because you're updating them all the time. Your Brownlow bets are going to be on the feed as well?
Absolutely.
Your Brownlow bets will be on the feed?
Yeah, I'll put them up.
We'll have all eyes on the feed.
All eyes on the feed. Well, I'll tell you what, we've been able to get through that. It's going to be a fantastic prelim final weekend. I'm sure that's what we've been run and done by now. But the Brownlow, it's the best event of the year and never change the way that it's voted. Enjoy.
What's gambling really costing you? For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.